Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Rabiatul Adawi Abidin Zulkifli and my number matrix is 2013711562. Today I would like to present about my assignment 3 for PGT104 Digital Electronic. For this assignment, we have been assigned to topic edge trigger flip-flop logic. There are 4 questions in this assignment. Question 1. Draw the output waveform of Q for a negative edge trigger JK flip-flop with active low, clear and preset by using the input waveform in figure 1.1. This is figure 1.1. To draw the output waveform of the Q, you can refer to this function level. This is a negative edge trigger JK flip-flop, so you need to refer to this negative pulse. Okay, you see this preset is low, so when the preset is low, regardless of JK input, the output will be set. And then until the clock is negative, at the negative edge trigger, the preset is high and the clear is high. So when the both is high, look at the input J and K. The input J is high, the K is low. So the output will be high. For second negative edge trigger, as you can see, the preset and clear still high, still in high. So the we look at the JK input. The J is high, K is high. When the boost input is high, so it will toggle the waveform from high to low. So at the third negative edge trigger, the preset is high and the clear is high. So the boost is high. We look at JK. The input J and K both is high. So the output waveform will be toggled again. At the fourth trigger, at this, as you can see, the preset at this point, the preset is high and the clear is low. So when the clear is low, regardless of the JK input, the output will be reset. So it will be reset, and then at the 4 edge trigger, the preset is high and the clear is low. So the output will be low. In the fifth trigger, negative edge trigger, both preset and clear is high. So we look at JK, the input is high, also high. So it will toggle the output waveform from low to high. At the negative edge trigger, you can see it's same as the pulse trigger. The preset and clear is both in high and the JK input is high. So it will toggle the output waveform of the Q. Question 2. Based on figure 2.1, they have given in the left side there are circuit diagram. In the circuit diagram they have 4 types of flip-flop, and the right side they have given the input waveform of clock A and B. First question, give the complete name for each flip-flop. If you can see, the FF1 is the SR flip-flop. The FF2 is JK flip-flop. And the third FF3 is C flip-flop. And lastly, the FF4 is D flip-flop. Second question, complete the following timing diagram in figure 2.1 by drawing the waveform for the output W, X, Y, and Z. Now this is output. W, X, Y, and Z. Assume that all of the output value are initially at 0. If you can see, there is Haskell law, so it will when the input A and is 0, B is 0, the output W will be 0. Is no change. See? And then at the pulse, the edge trigger pulse, the edge trigger 1, the input A is 1, the input B is 0. The output W will be set until second edge trigger, which is the input A is 0, the input B is high. So the output W will be reset. After that, to find the output X, we need the input will be go through the JK flip-flop. In this JK flip-flop, the output SR doesn't have the Q bar, so the output is same as the output. The input K will be as same as the J. At the JK, we saw the clock is in negative edge trigger, so we need to trigger at the negative, negative edge trigger. When the J is 0, K is 0, the output of X will be whole. So at the negative, the first negative edge trigger, you see W is high, so the J is high. If the J is high, K is high, so it will toggle the output of X. It toggles the output until at the second negative edge trigger, we saw that W, the output, the input J and K is low, is 0, and it will hold the output of X. For the T flip-flop, to find the output Y, the input T is same as the B. So when B is low, the T is low. It will input the T as 0. So when the T is 0, at the clock 0, and the clock is 0, the output will be 0. When the clock is triggered, the T output is 0, still 0. The output of Y is 0, and we say it's no change. When the clock is 0, B is 0, it will be no change. At the second trigger, edge trigger, the B input is high, and so the output Y will be toggles. When the clock is 0, the T is 1, the output Y will be no change. Lastly, we need to find Z output. So we need to go through the D flip-flop. For D flip-flop, it is same as the SR flip-flop, but it have inverter in the D flip-flop. So the input D is as same as the input K. So when the input is low, the clock initially is 0, so it doesn't trigger. The clock doesn't trigger, so it will be set in 0 until at the first trigger is when the clock is triggered, the input is high. So the output will be high and it will be set. At the second trigger, when the input is low, the output is low. It means the output Z will be reset. Question 3. Based on figure 3.1, draw the output waveform Q and Q bar for the given input in figure 3.1. In this figure, they given the block diagram of D flip-flop and also the waveform. To draw the output of Q, the output waveform of Q and Q bar, you can refer to the table. As you can see, when the preset is 0, the clear is 1, the output will be 1. When the clock is triggered, at the preset is 0, the clear is 1, the output will be 1. When the clock is triggered at the second time, and the preset is 1, the clear is 1. We look at D is 0, so the output will be 0. When the clock is triggered at the third, the preset is 1, the clear is 1. We look at D is 1, so the output will be 1. So when the clock trigger at 4, when the preset is 1, clear is 1, we look at input D is 0, so the output will be 0. So to find the output of Q bar, it will be the opposite of Q. When Q is 1, the Q bar will be 0. And then the Q is 0, Q bar is 1. When the Q bar 1, when the Q is 1, the Q bar will become 0 again. And when the Q is 0, the Q bar will be 1. Question 4. Analyze the operation of the register circuit in figure 4.1. For the given input waveform, assume that initial condition is 0, 1, 1, 0 for the output of Q. Construct the output waveform of the following waveform figure 4.1. To draw the output waveform, you can refer to this function table. As you can see, to find the Q0, the initial of Q0 is 0. So when D is 0, enable is 0, the output will be no change. When D is 1, the enable is 0, it will be no change. When the D is 0, the enable is 1, the output will be reset. When the D is high, the enable is 1 or high, the output will be set. The output will be set. When the D is 0, the enable is 0, the output will be no change. And when the D is 1, the enable is 0, the output will be no change. When D is 0, the enable is 1, the output will be reset. So when D is 1, enable is 0, it will be no change. And when D is 0, there will be no change. And when the D is 1, the enable is 1, the output will be set. When out D is 0, the enable is 1, the output will be reset. So when D is 1, the enable is 1, the output will be set again. And after that, when D is 0, the enable is 0, it will be no change. And when D is 1, enable is 0, it will be no change. The output of Q1. the initial of Q1 is height is equal to 1. So when D is 0, D1 is 0, enable is 0, it will be no change. When D is 0, when D is 1, the enable is 1, it will be set. And then when the D is 1, the enable is 0, it will be no change. And same as when the D is 0, enable is 0, it will be no change. When D is 0, enable is 1, the output will be reset. And then when D is 0, enable is 0, it will be no change. When D is 0, the enable is 1, the output will be reset. And when 0, D is 0, enable is 0, it will be no change. When D is 1, the enable is 1, the output will be set. When D is 0, the enable is 1, the output will be reset. And when D is 0, enable is 0, when D is 0, the enable is 0, it will be no change. So when D is 1, enable is 0, the output will be no change. This is the output of Q1. To find the output Q, the initial of Q2 is 1. So when D is 0, the enable is 0, the output will be no change. So when the D is 0, the enable is 1, the output will be reset. When D is 0, enable is 0, the output will be no change. When D is 1, enable is 0, the output will be no change. So when the D is high, when the D is 1, enable is 1, the output will be set. So when D is 1, enable is 0, it will be no change. When D is 0, the enable is 1, the output will be reset. And then no change, no change. When the D is 1, the enable is 1, the output will be set. And then no change until the end. So lastly, to find the output of Q3, the initial Q3 is 0. So when the D is 0, enable is 0, it will be no change. When D is 0, enable is 1, the output will be reset. And then it will be no change until when the D is 0, enable is 1, it still be the output of reset. And no change. When the D3 is 1, the enable is 1, the output will be set. And then when D is 1, enable is 0, it will be no change. And then when D is 1, the enable is 1, the output will be set. And when D is 1, enable is 0, the output will be no change.